This video is for you if you think your dog might have separation anxiety. Maybe they just broke out of their crate. Maybe you got a complaint about your dog barking from a neighbor. Whatever the reason is, if you think your dog might be struggling with separation anxiety, by the end of this video, you are going to feel so confident in what your next steps are and so much less overwhelmed. Before we jump into that, my name's Maddie and welcome to the Peaceful Pup Club. Why should you listen to what I have to say about separation anxiety in dogs? Well, first, because I've been through it with my own dog, Tara. I will tell you a little bit more about her story later in the episode. I also have over 5 years of dog training experience and I'm certified in separation anxiety. I'm actually obsessed with helping dogs and their humans get through the separation anxiety training journey. First, let's talk about how to know if your dog actually has separation anxiety. So there are actually 3 different areas that we think about when we are talking about separation anxiety. Your dog could struggle with 1, 2, or all 3 of these different areas. The first area is called isolation distress. This means that your dog is okay as long as they are with a human. It doesn't really matter which human, just as long as they have somebody to keep them company. This is the area of training that I typically will work on first. Then we have hyperattachment. So this just means that they are extra attached to their one special safe person. They might be following you constantly. They might lose it a little bit when you leave the room, but if you are their person, you will definitely know it. Working with dogs who are hyperattached to their person adds a little bit more to the training process. We do some additional training exercises as well as start getting them comfortable with other people other than just you. The third area is confinement anxiety. So this just means that your dog is anxious about being confined. Usually we're thinking about a crate, but it could also apply if they are kind of gated off into a really small area. If you think your dog has separation anxiety, some of the clues could include barking the whole time that you're gone, being destructive like chewing up furniture, pillows, anything like that, pacing or even running in the house, so going just back and forth, sometimes between the door that you left from and maybe a window that they can see out of to see when you're coming back, having accidents in the house after you know that they're fully house trained. And you should also be looking to see how often these things are happening. If it's just once or twice, it could be just a one-off accident, maybe because they had less enrichment or less exercise before you left. But if it's happening almost every time you leave, then it is likely to be separation anxiety. If you want to get a little bit clearer of a picture of what you're working with, I recommend doing a little mini home alone assessment. All you need to do is set up a camera so that you can see your dog when you go outside. You can use a security camera such as like a Wise camera, Blink, Ring, any of those. Or if you have another tablet, phone, laptop, anything like that, there's an app that you can use called Barkio that you can actually use to set up one device as a camera and the other device will let you watch the camera. Then you're going to go outside for just a couple of minutes while watching your dog on the camera. You're looking for any signs of stress that start to escalate quickly. This could be anything from barking, whining, or any kind of vocalizing to looking like they might start to destroy something in the house. Pawing at the door is another really big one. And of course, if they start sniffing in a circle and looking like they might have an accident, we're going to count that as a sign of stress too. You are going to head right back inside as soon as you see any of these things starting to happen. We don't want to push your dog past that point where they start to get anxious. Take note of the behaviors that you saw and at what point did you see them? So how long after you exited your home did the behavior start to happen? Okay. So, if you're seeing signs of separation anxiety, the first thing to know is that you don't need to leave your dog alone to just get used to it. In fact, that is very likely to make things a little bit worse. We need to stop letting your dog go over their anxiety threshold during the training process, or it could take a lot longer, or the anxiety might not improve at all. When we say anxiety threshold, that just means that moment when your dog starts to get anxious or starts to get stressed when they are alone. Think about if you were afraid of spiders. So you had arachnophobia, and there were just constantly spiders surrounding you every single day. They were always around. You never got a break from them. And think about how hard it would probably be to get over that phobia with those circumstances. Okay, so now think about never having to see a spider unless it's in a very controlled situation where, you see the spider for half a second from really far away. And then once you're okay with that, the spider moves a little bit closer, and then maybe you go up to 1 second. So kind of following that gradual desensitization pattern. It's going to be a lot easier for you to get past that phobia if you're doing that second option. So I'm not saying that you can never leave your house, because we are all humans. We have human lives, we have jobs, friends, we have to go to the grocery store, all kinds of real life stuff that we have to deal with. So there are a few really good options to help manage those absences so that when you do have to leave the home, your dog isn't going past that anxiety threshold. If your dog is good and friendly with other dogs, a doggy daycare might be a really good option. There are different kinds of daycares. There are obviously daycare facilities, but then there are also smaller in-home daycares that you can find either on apps like Rover or maybe in a local neighborhood group. How would your dog feel about having someone come to your house to stay with them? You can think of finding a professional in-home dog sitter, or you can even ask any friends or family to help with this. If you're listening to this right when it comes out, we're kind of at the very beginning of summer break, so there's a lot of college kids coming home for the summer and looking for ways to make a little bit of extra money. That could be a really good option too. If your dog is still into eating while they're home alone, you can use food-based enrichment activities as management. Think of things like a frozen Kong, a lick mat, popsicle, or a long-lasting natural chew such as beef tracheas, which my dogs absolutely love, or bully sticks, anything like that. This method usually only works for really quick trips because the food is really just acting as a distraction for your dog, and as soon as the food is gone and the distraction is over, that's when that clock starts ticking towards that anxiety threshold that we're trying to avoid. One of the most helpful things for managing absences and also just separation anxiety training in general is talking to your vet about anxiety medication. Medication can be game-changing for separation anxiety, especially in the beginning stages of training. We have daily medications, which are a great way to bring down overall anxiety levels. The way that I like to think about this is the medication reduces the anxiety just enough so that there's a little bit more space in the brain for your dog to actually learn and retain the training and behavior modification that we are working on with them. Some people reduce or even eliminate the daily medications after they think their dog's separation anxiety is fully resolved. There are definitely some dogs who, after they learn the process and learn to be comfy being home alone, don't need the medication anymore, and it can be stopped with help from your vet. Other people keep their dogs on daily anxiety medication for life, which is definitely what I'm doing with my dog Tara. She did have separation anxiety. It was an atypical situation because her safe person was my ex who lived with me at the time. Once he moved out, she was a hot mess about it. So we definitely used medication along with the training I was doing to help her get through that situation and learn that This is still a great place to be even without him. So what is the actual training process? We use something called Gradual Desensitization, which basically means helping your dog feel safe with very short absences and slowly increasing them at a pace that your dog can handle. This process of gradual desensitization plus the anti-anxiety medication that we just talked about is considered the gold standard treatment for separation anxiety. During this desensitization process, you will work on desensitizing your dog to you just going out the door, or maybe even just going through a baby gate. Some dogs skip this step because they're already very used to their humans coming and going on a lot of quick trips, and so they don't need so much of the door desensitization. They just need to work on being home alone, which is the next step in the process. Once your dog is okay with you going out the door, then you will start the actual departure training exercises where you're actually leaving the house, going outside, and leaving your dog home alone for different periods of time. When we're working on this, we want to remove as many of the pre-departure cues as we can. So this means things like putting your shoes on right before you walk out the door, grabbing your keys, grabbing your purse, putting a coat on, things like that. We do add those back in after your dog is comfortable with being home alone for 15 minutes, and I've found this to be a much easier process. This method of separation anxiety is science-based, it's gentle, and effective. And no, we don't use any punishment or ever let them cry it out. That's not our style. This next part, it might surprise you a little bit. Your mental health is just as important as your dog's. The separation anxiety training journey can feel like a lot. It can feel isolating. It could feel heavy. It could feel like your life is put on pause. You might feel trapped, especially if you can't leave your house very often. That's real, and that's why I talk a lot about mindset and self-care at Paws and Frolic Academy. Always remember, you're not failing, you're not alone, and you are exactly the kind of dog parent that your pup needs right now. You'll be doing training exercises 5 days per week, and on those 2 days off, you should definitely use that time to do something for yourself, some kind of self-care to make you feel better. For me, meditation and hiking are two of my favorite activities when I need to just relax. But you know yourself best. You know what helps you to decompress. So find the time to add those things into your schedule. Definitely on those 2 days off, but also throughout the week if you can. Always give yourself grace during this process. You are doing something so brave and so beautiful by helping your dog through their anxiety. Another big thing is to find someone that you can talk to. It's really important to have someone who can just listen to you when you're stressing out about your dog, who isn't going to judge you, who can just listen and support you. This could be a friend or family member who might understand what you're going through, or you might meet somebody in my community, the Paws and Frolic Collective. Having a professional trainer who truly understands what you're going through can make a world of difference. If you're wondering if private training is right for you, here are a few things that you can think about. Have you tried doing the training on your own already, but maybe you got stuck? You hit a snag and you weren't sure where to go next? Do you think you need extra accountability to be able to fit those 5 sessions in every week? Do you want someone to tell you exactly what to do every day during your training sessions? Does your dog's anxiety seem pretty severe? Some things that might indicate this are they have injured themselves in attempts to escape either from a crate or from the house in general, or you might have a limited time before a big schedule change or routine change is happening for you and your household. These kinds of things can throw you off, one, because it might mess a little bit with your management plan that you have in place, or it could potentially trigger the separation anxiety to either get worse or return if it's already been fully resolved. At Paws and Frolic Academy, I offer one-on-one training and a membership community. Shout out to the Paws and Frolic Collective, where we support each other every week, celebrate all of the wins, and of course, talk through those hard moments. I have different levels of support based on what you and your dog need. But just know you never have to go through this journey alone. So, just a quick recap. If you think your dog has separation anxiety, start with doing that mini home alone assessment. If you don't see any signs of separation anxiety during your assessment, you should do a little bit of troubleshooting to see what's actually going on with their behavior. If you get stuck, a professional trainer can definitely help with this. The next thing you should definitely do is put a management plan in place, like dog sitters or using enrichment as a distraction. Start a conversation with your vet and ask if they think that anti-anxiety medication could be helpful for your dog during this process. And then start gentle training as soon as you're ready. If you want more help, I offer a free 30-minute behavior blueprint discovery call. We could talk about what's going on with your dog and figure out what is your next best step. There's no pressure, just support. I will put the link to schedule that call in the description box below. You've already taken the most important step just by being here. You're showing up for your dog, and that's what matters. If this video helped you, hit like, subscribe, or drop a comment below with your story. I would love to hear from you, because goodbye shouldn't be scary.